And we're live. Welcome to Co-op Chat. You know what?
Good morning.
It was not a cold start, but I noticed something on the cameras.
That's as cold as it gets, my friend. That's as cold as it gets.
Bear me back in a second here. But welcome. We got lots of friends here. So, hey, Ryan, how's it going? Hey, Silvers, welcome.
Hey, Slivers.
Hey, Emil, nice to see you here. Yogi, perfect timing. I just finished 6 hours of Frosthaven. Yeah, that'd be perfect topic for this right now.
I would have to nap after that.
Yes, Snow, how's it going? Yes, we didn't have a cold start because Barrett wasn't in front of the camera, so that's why.
Know that. Hold on. I'm still adjusting.
What didn't you know, that we were starting at 9?
Yeah.
The 3-minute countdown, was it?
or was the 3-minute countdown just?
Nope, didn't notice that.
The question is, did you get the wrapper out of the air duct?
Nope, that's still there. I'll deal with that later. I was looking for my phone. I have no idea what I do with it. All right, good morning, chat. I will never see you today. I hope it's okay. I am at the mercy of Steve bringing up the chat for me.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, welcome. This is our live chat. We try to do this weekly as much as possible about various board game topics, generally with a cooperative focus. And this week we're going to take a topic that was suggested by one of our community members, Marcel. He's the one that mentioned this one. And so he's talking about playing games consistently, or a lot of times in a row, basically, and how your initial enthusiasm, does it diminish over time? So if, for example, I know Yogi is here just saying he's playing Frosthaven. I thought that was a pretty good example of a game. Like, there's a lot of missions in Frosthaven, and does your enthusiasm for the game change or die down for different games? Why or why not? And let's just have that chat. Hey, Matthew.
This is a great topic, Steve. Thank you, Marcel, for bringing this up. I actually get this a lot. A lot of my subscribers and Patreon people ask me, like, you should do like a video, like showing, like, hey, after I've played this like 20 times, do you still, like, where does it still fall? Are you still interested in it? And I know that Mike from the One Stop Co-op Shop, he actually does like that shelf stories, which is kind of like his take on this, where he decides whether or not, like, after having like the game for over a month or something, that's still in his collection or not, kind of thing. He does that kind of thing. So it's good. It's a good topic. I think it's hard for me to really figure out. So how am I supposed to put this? I find games that are one-offs have a tendency to stick around a little bit more than campaign games when it comes to this kind of concept. Because if you're not digging what's going on in the campaign, it's not going to mostly get any better. Where with one-offs, a lot of times you can play it in a certain way. Say, for example, you're talking about Frosthaven. You have a mission, you're like, oh, this mission was awesome. And you try a different mission, like, that mission was kind of okay. Robinson Crusoe, same deal. Like, you can play that multiple times on a certain version of it and think like I know Colin really likes the Swiss Family Robinson thing, where you have to try to create all the different items. Yep. That's like one of his favorite scenarios.
That's one of my favorite scenarios too. Yep.
Right, but if he goes to play, let's say, the just to get off the island scenario, he's like, well, I played that a couple times, I'm good, I don't need to play that one again.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I
apparently I need to play that more.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be one of those topics.
It's fun, but it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough. It was rough, and it did not go well for me.
Doesn't go well for anyone.
No, Robin will not after experience of Robinson Crusoe. Robin never play that game again. We had tried like 3 times to get off the island, and finally we got off the island, and I had to polo Colin and say, Colin, I have a question for you. So we got off the island, but do we still have to resolve the entire turn, or since we're off since we like made what we need to, we're off, we're good, right? Like, no, you have to resolve the turn, and you hear my wife in the background, Colin, you're wrong, Colin. She's like, I'm never playing this game again.
Oh my god, that's
we haven't played the game again. I think I actually got rid of the game. I think I still have it. I'm sure I still have it. It's it's right here.
No, we love that game.
It's just sorry, I was being an engineer and coding for a second. Is it just we're just trying to find out how to maintain it across all games or all specific games, or
Well, I think
every game in your collection that you own, as you're playing them, is there ones that you're kind of go, oh, I played that a little bit. I played this like 6 or 7 times. It's not as cool as I remember it being the first time I played it.
Yeah, Ryan's got a good comment here that kind of ties into it. It says, currently in chapter 16 of Oathsworn, starting to feel like I'm forcing myself to finish, right? Which is very interesting
That's how I
because,
felt.
beginning of that game, everyone's really stoked, having a lot of fun. I think, Derek, you had this experience.
Yep. I Oathsworn was, so let me start by saying the devs are amazing. The game is beautiful. It just wasn't for me. And I think what happens is, for me, myself as a solo gamer, I find theme very important. That's like number one. And then mechanics fall to number two, where other people who play say, I've got other people at the table, so I don't care about theme and mechanics and whatever. So my thing is, Oathsworn's theme and story is really good. And it drew me in when I started playing, and I was like, oh, this is fun. It's doing something different. We've got a boss battler happening, a lot of different type of movement. And then as I continued to play, I was able to look past the theme and look at the mechanics of it. And in there is where I saw some of the, for me, and let me be specific, the warts, the warts of the mechanics for me that didn't sit well. And over amount of time, I found that those became increasingly, I disliked them more and more, and therefore my love for the game became less and less. And so at the end of the day, it was okay, well, and I did a video on explaining exactly what those things were for people who are curious. But the at the end of the day, it was, I don't enjoy this game anymore. These things make the game not fun for me, so therefore I called it. But Baron loved it, and he played.
Yeah, I went all the way through the campaign, but Derek, I would say that I very similar to who was it? Who brought the comment up? I'm sorry, Steve. I don't have my chat. I'm sorry. Who?
Ryan.
Okay, Ryan. That if you watch our recap video, we actually said the same thing about the time he is saying this. About, I would say, there's 21 missions, so I would say at about mission 16, 17, 18, no, about 17, 18, 19, I think, were the ones where we're kind of going, what? The story remained absolutely bonkers amazing. And actually, some of the best stories were near the end. The problem is, like Derek was saying, I keep almost saying kanji.
I'm gonna have Robin come down there with a ruler. Every time you say kanji, I'm gonna let her whack you on the knuckles.
Is that we started fighting the same types of monsters, like just a reskin or re-theme of a monster we'd already fought. And it's not really, I probably should have said I might be spoiling things I'm talking about near the end of the game. But as we got done and finished the game, we talked about that. And in our recap video, actually, we did get a confirmed by Toby that he said the development team just kind of ran out of time. They really wanted to add those last, but their story was done. But they didn't have the last bits of what they were going to do when it came to the actual fight. And so they wish they would have been able to, in the end, they wish they would have been able to put a couple of new monsters in, or at least you even use the same challenge deck when you're fighting the same monster, which is sad, that was the biggest gripe for us. We're like, we don't mind if we're fighting something again. We would have really wished if it just had a different deck that's doing things to you. You know what I mean? So that's where it fell for us, is we really wanted to do the story, but some of the fights were starting to drag on. And very similar, I think, to you, Derek. That's kind of happened to you, but it happened earlier.
Yeah.
In your Oathsworn career. So when it comes to Oathsworn, would I pick it up again and play it? Yes, I have not lost my love for Oathsworn. I would play it again, no problem. I think part of the one thing you have to deal with when it comes to, if you're interested still in the game after you've played it a lot and really enjoyed it, is you have to decide if you're playing it with people or without people. And that's another thing you have to factor. I think you need to factor in. Would I play Oathsworn all the way through solo? No. Would I play it through again with Colin? In a heartbeat, because we have so much fun together playing that game. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Sleeping Gods. Did I have as much fun playing it solo than playing with Colin? No. Colin and I had an absolute blast playing it together. Would I play it solo? Yeah. I just don't think I'll enjoy it as much as I did when I was playing it with Colin.
I'll play Sleeping God solo any day, all
Yeah.
day.
I have not played.
Yeah, that was called segue. I segued it right into you because I know that's one of your games that you love to adore.
Yeah, that's like a treat, like end of semester treat. Like last year, winter break and then summer break. I'm like, if I can make it this far, I can play Sleeping Gods. So I've not tired of Sleeping Gods. I mean, I'm going to move to Distant Skies this break. But one of the things I was thinking earlier is just like, I wonder for especially like long campaign games, if, and I think, oh gosh, I can't remember who somebody said something earlier about eventually like sucking each play like starts to suck the life out of you. But I wonder if part of the problem with long campaign games is it starts to become like this, I have to do this to complete it, like that completionist thing versus I'm doing this because I enjoy it. Because if it's like me, I'm like, I have to see this through whether I like it or not. I've invested a lot of time in this.
Oh my
and
god!
that point where like for me, like that would be a little bit more frustrating. And I would probably have more enthusiasm from me.
Yeah, I don't think it's that though. I think it has to do with how things gel together because I play through all of Role Player Adventures campaign and I still love it and I still like it and I got the expansion that someday I'll get
That's
to.
another one coming for me on this
10
break.
in the box that I need a forklift to pick up with all the books. But I think it's not like it's just over and over a repeat. There are a lot of games that I enjoy that are campaign games. I think it just has to do with I don't know. I'll say that it feels from my perspective that it has to do with, are these mechanics something that you can endure for a long period of time?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then over time it wears on you, and then you're like, I don't like this.
Yeah,
I want to ask you a follow-up question, Derek.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, like, let's look at Oathsworn specifically. Like, over a period of time, you felt like at some point you were kind of forcing yourself to kind of get through it, right? Or you felt like your enthusiasm was dying. Do you feel like after each play your enthusiasm dropped, or was there a certain point at which you felt your enthusiasm was dropping?
I think it began to it was over time it happened. It wasn't like, okay, I hit this point and blah. It was over time. I think there's only one game that I feel that's no, I'm not gonna say that. I'll say over time. Over time it happened. Over time it wore me down. Over time it didn't feel really like it's when the theme fades away, when the theme passes. Like, let's take a look at I don't even know if we can consider Marvel United in this category of campaign, even though we played DOMs. But I mean, that never faded for me because the mechanics were tight. Let me look at my collection.
Well, I mean, I was going to talk about Marvel United for sure, because I feel like that was a really good example of a non-campaign game that is talking about enthusiasm for or not. But like for the campaigns, because I've been thinking about that more and more. Like, for a campaign game, what maintains enthusiasm? Because we went through all of Assassin's Creed. We streamed the whole thing.
At any point, at any point,
why
did you
we get through the whole thing? And I think it had a lot to do with the unlocks and the different puzzles that each one brings. And I wonder if that is the big factor, the big need for campaigns. Meaning, like, when you sit down, something new has to be there.
Well, if that's the case, saying Oathsworn, sorry, Gloomhaven would be, I mean, it's still high, but it would be high on my list still. Let me say that. I'll only talk from my subjective opinion. It's I all the other campaign games I've played, I get new stuff because when I upgrade, I get new stuff, and so it refreshes the game. I think what's difficult for campaign games, for me, I always go back to mechanics. Are they tight? Are there something that I enjoy playing? Case in point, Emil's Rogue Angels battle mechanics. I love it. I love them. The cards themselves, even you get new stuff whenever you upgrade. The story is pretty fun, but as we were playing it more and more, I found that I was really enjoying the battles, like
Mhm.
the card play of putting them in the different position slots, things cycling themselves out every turn, so you always had something fresh to do and never felt locked. Like that's the reason why I think when you two introduced me to Emil and to Rogue Angels, I was like, yeah, I can see myself playing this campaign. It's fun.
Mhm.
So in a non-campaign game thing, I just checked. I have 65 plays of Turing Machine. And I'm not tired of it. But I think also because I played on BGA, so I don't have to worry about setup or anything like that. And it's 12 minutes maybe. So I think for me, it's also, it would be, I think I would lose enthusiasm if every time I went and played something, I had to put, 2 hours into it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even counting like setting up, taking down. Like, I'm not probably not going to play something 65 times if it's going to be that much energy, because then I'm going to get bored. I'm going to move on. But give me 12 minutes of Turing Machine on BGA and I will play that daily. Solo challenges every
Well,
day.
is
Not
it
every day, but
but is it the automation of the online experience that is driving you to do that, or would
I
you throw
actually do
Turing
think
Machine on your table every day, all day,
for
play there?
Turing Machine, because just of like the deduction or whatever, I feel like doing it on BGA, it's actually a little bit easier to like take notes than it is on, like, if you're playing it on the table,
Yeah,
because you can't, I mean, you have a notepad or whatever to like take your notes, but you can't mark up all the other things. So on BGA, like, you're marking up the card and big saying like,
yeah.
this is not true. So I do think, at least for Turing Machine, the BGA, it's better on BGA than physical. But I mean, I do have the physical copy too.
But what
But yeah,
physical game? But what physical? I guess I would ask, what physical game do you have that you feel that way about? I think I know what one of them is, but what physical game do you have
well, I
that
mean,
you
other than we were just talking about sleeping gods, but okay, so even like one of my next ones, cartographers. I have 29 like logged plays. I mean, right now I'm just like looking at like some of my most played things, but there's, and I wonder though if that's kind of, I don't get tired of one-offs, as I was kind of like saying earlier. I think in some ways I get more tired of like something that's going to be like super super long.
what do you so I'm leading the witness here, but just to ask kind of, what do you feel? So you said something that plays super long. Sleeping Gods play super long, right? I've never played it, but it
But
sounds
that
like
was
it
like,
plays long.
it's like 3 times like through the deck.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could break that up into like 4 or 5 sessions if you want, but I mean, really,
Okay.
it's like 3 days. So I mean, 3 days versus of like playing something and like leaving it set up versus
Thousands hours of a campaign thing.
Frosthaven.
Mm.
Frost, yeah, yeah.
Like, I do not have the attention span, and I have Frosthaven, I have Gloomhaven. I bought Frosthaven, never playing Gloomhaven. Okay, I did play some of Jaws of the Lion,
Fun
but,
game.
and I'll go back to it. I will, but um, that's the thing though. I don't have the attention span
Yeah.
for 160 missions or
So
whatever.
so at the
Like, I
same
don't have that attention span.
Yeah, so at the same time, like, I feel like I fall into that category as well, but I have exceptions. Like KDM. Kingdom Death
Mhm.
Monster is like the exception to everything that I say I don't like about a game. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about that game. I believe that when Barrett and I talked about it before, we both agreed on that it's the experience of that
Mhm.
game that makes it so addictive. It lasts, how long does it last? Like 30
35 lantern years, I think, or 30. I think it was normally they're 20 and it went to 25 or 30 and went to 35. I forget the number.
So, but lantern years of play, which lantern years is, it could be a long time, it could be a short time, based on how you roll dice. But it runs through a battle, a hunt, settlement phase, and those can all take a long time to do. So it takes a while to play. It has a very long playtime depending on how you, and it's not because you're just doing one thing. There's multiple things to do. But for some strange reason, that game like
I think
defies all the odds against the things I
because
don't
you've
want.
got good thematic, you've got good, you got really sound, like strict mechanics that work really well, and that and they gel pretty well together. And you have the concept of I'm fighting the same thing, but it's never always going to be exactly the same. And you never know what you're going to get. And it's basically also, I think part of it is you never know what you're going to get. Like everything is so random. Like you're like, what's going to happen to me this time? I'm going to draw this card. Oh my God! It's like acid rain. This is awesome. I get to like give my guys all scars. They get like +1 to their strength. Okay, next turn I come. Let's see what happens. Oh, murder! Oh, somebody died. Like,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like you can go through a hunt and be like, oh man, this is rough. Get into the battle. Okay, I'm gonna die, but you win, and then you get all this stuff, and you feel great about yourself, and you're pumped. And then your strongest guy gets murdered. just straight out. There's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, my wife stopped playing because her character died in childbirth. She's like, I'm done with this game. This is stupid. You brought up
yes, children can die in childbirth.
Right. You brought up a few comments about that as we were talking. One of them was about setup and how much that can play a factor into getting games to the table and deciding if these are long-standing games. I think that's a very valid point. I think another, I think that has to do a lot with, like when I'm, for example, Derek just brought up Kingdom Death. That takes a while to get to the table. Does it take a while to get Quacklenberg to the table? No, not very often. You just put a boom, boom, boom. Everybody gets a potion, and here's boom, boom, boom. Here's your bags, right? And then you leave the tokens in the bag. You just pull them out when you need them, right? And this is a game I've played multiple times. As you can see, it's up on my stack here. That's games that are easy to get to, kind of. We love this game. We play this game quite a bit. We love Quacks, so Quacklenberg is very. Also, I think it depends on what you're playing and how you're playing it. If we completely talked only solo experiences, this is going to be a totally different topic than playing family and playing with friends and things like this. Like we sat down playing Role Player yesterday with my friends. Play it anytime. It's a fantastic game. We love it. Would I play it solo? No, I'm not going to play it solo. I'm not a big fan of playing point grab games at the end. Like, oh, hey, we know they have the monsters one now where you can, oh, hey, did I fight the monster and got extra points? That's fantastic. But I just don't need to play that solo. I like to have a lot of my one-offs need to be with people. I have a hard time playing solo one-offs by myself unless there's something that's driving me to get that game to the table and play it. Like, for example, you see Seventh Continent back here. I'll play this anytime. I love it. The setup is super, super fast. The game is super, super long. So you have to, it's still fun to get to the table. And a lot of times, again, another thing, a lot of what we're saying is probably going to be skewed by the fact that we also record and do playthroughs and things of that nature. I can't keep Kingdom Death set up on that table out there because I've got to record Nova because, and one, I want to. Don't say I need to. I want to record Nova. But I don't have a board but I'd like to continue my campaign of Kingdom Death Monster. If I had two tables, Kingdom Death would be on a table, and I would just be able to start playing that game and recording it whenever I wanted it. But I don't have that luxury. I only have one table. I haven't convinced my wife yet that the dining room table also needs to be a game table.
Okay, so that will be happening in my house now that break is over. I am going to make sure that things are set up on the dining room table. But I mean, before we started, you all saw my table. Like, I have, pieces of blueprints of Mad King Ludwig. And I also have inquiry design model, building inquiries and social studies. Like, this is also where I, do my schoolwork and everything. So, but, so setup, takedown, let's set it chat, relearning something, especially playing solo where I'm the only one responsible for knowing how to play the game. Like there's a lot. So I have to really like something that is going to play multiple times, for more than 3 or 4 days for me to like still be very enthused and super excited to play again, because it's a lot of work.
And those are both really good points. As content creators, we don't have that luxury of leaving stuff set up on the table for long durations because we play different things. We play different games that are out there, right? So we're always cleaning it up. So setup and teardown is a major factor for us for bringing a game to the channel. But at the same time, my question, I guess the question still holds, is even with setup teardown, even with record time, even with school schedules, what's the game like? What's the enthusiasm? What about the game's enthusiasm minus those things keeps it coming back? Even though those things are a factor, minus those things, what keeps them coming?
It's
Kicking my
so
husband's butt
different.
in Castles of Burgundy. That keeps me going.
Mine comes back to the story and the fact that it can draw me in.
Yeah.
When it comes to like Isofarian Guard, I'll play it anytime. I love going and I love just continuing on, and I don't feel like I need to sit down and play it all the way to the end in like one big sitting. I don't mind jumping back in and out because I can remember enough to know what's going on in the story. Totally fine. Madara, another game. Like if you look at my top 10 lists, like every year, I would say the 3 on there are games I have no problem still bringing back to the table. Aeon Trespass Odyssey, Kingdom Death, Isofarian Guard, Madara. These like 4 big huge games. Those are my big huge games that I can keep bringing back to the table and love. ISS Vanguard, big game, love it. Can keep bringing that back to the table, no problem, and enjoy it. What do you got there, Steve? I can't read anything you bring up.
No, so Silvers was just asking about mentioning about Hexplore, being an example of one of his favorite RPG in the box, but the relearn and setup is daunting, and so it kind of diminishes his enthusiasm for that one.
I agree to disagree. Depends on which one you're playing. If you're playing Sands of Shirax, it's going to take you 10 years to set it up. However, if you play Valley of the Dead King, it's probably the same amount of setup as, I don't know, Death May Die or...
Well, I think also we've played enough games in our time to know kind of what games we really enjoy as well. So it's like another thing, like I know I'm not coming back to X game because I've played it and I'm like, oh, I don't really like those type of games. Like I played my first X4 game and a couple of them, and I was like, both times I've played X4 games, I'm like, I'm not an X person. I mean, I used to be like an X board or stream sporter, but no, I never was. What? Play 4X games. I just don't enjoy it. So
I'm not gonna let you breeze past that. No. We're gonna rewind. What?
I'm an X boarder, extreme sporter. You've never heard that before?
No, I have never heard that before.
But I think they should use it in a commercial.
Oh,
Totally should use it. I mean, think about it. I'm holding coffee. I'm going like, yeah, that's right. McDonald's coffee, X border. X.
I'll bring up McDonald's. You didn't bring me a Diet Coke.
I like Diet Coke.
So Snow mentioned she knows what
Still not sponsored.
To. Simple rules, up to an hour playtime max, satisfying choices, and depth of gameplay. So like those are the factors that keep her enthusiasm.
So then she knows exactly what kind of game she's going to start gravitating towards. So when she sees a game that says 4+ hours of gameplay or to play a game, she'd be like, no. And then you'd look into it. For me, that'd be a flag where I'd be like, okay, that doesn't fit my wheelhouse. But still look into it and see kind of if the rest of it kind of fits the wheelhouse, and maybe I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when it says 4X on it, and I go, that's not my wheelhouse. But I look and it's like, oh, it's got like medieval, it's got the storyline, it's got do, like all the rest of the things that they say, oh, I like. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Steve, what were you saying?
Huh?
Steve was also mentioning out. What'd you say, Steve?
It says, talking about game length here. Slivers was talking about here. Does Jen mention how game length affects her enthusiasm? But what about your guys? Like, if it becomes long, does it affect your enthusiasm as you play it? I think for me, the main thing is engagement. If the length, so my sweet spot is 90-minute max games. There are exceptions to that, but that's just 90 minutes is my target for max length because it makes it easier to fit in with schedules, life, right? Hour is ideal, in my opinion. But as long as I'm engaged through it, I don't think my enthusiasm dies within the game itself. but it depends on, like I said, that just the mechanics has to keep me engaged in the entire time. And that's why I think co-ops do well for me, because a lot of co-ops, not all of them, it is, even if it's not my turn, I'm invested in what you're doing because it affects me, right? Or we are working together on a strategy together to achieve whatever the goal is in the game. So I think that helps a lot from my standpoint.
I don't know. I think I struggle to find a video on my channel that's less than 3 hours long. So
But I mean, also though, because anytime you're live streaming a game, like that's adds significant amounts of time to something too, because you're interacting with chat. Because I mean, if you're not talking to chat, then why are you doing it, right? So
fair enough.
So it's easy to make a 90-minute game a 3 freaking hour stream, or
Fair enough.
Bob's Gaming Table, it could be a 90-minute game and that is an 8-hour stream. And yes, I watched all of their Sleeping God content too, and it took me a week and a half. Not really, but
you gotta bypass the first hour and a half. He spends an hour and a half before he plays. So.
I think one of the Sleeping God days was an 8-hour stream. How does that happen?
There was one time
I watched it.
Yeah, there was one time where he was getting ready to play Hoplomachus Victorum, and we in the chat, Yogi was in there, and but we made him delay 4 hours before he started that game.
I will say this, it is like really funny when I do when I have 8 hours to give and I watch like a VOD of one of the streams, and then I forget that it's not live, because then he'll mention you, Derek, and I'm like, oh, shoot, that was like 3 years ago.
So, but in terms of the question that I don't. I gotta reread it. So it's saying that curious game length affects enthusiasm. No, mechanics do. Mechanics do.
Yeah, it does not affect enthusiasm, but very similar to what you guys were talking about earlier. Colin and I, when it comes to trying to figure out what games to stream, we do make sure, like we had some complete catastrophes a few times where we decided to do a story, ended like in a battle in Oathsworn, and Colin left my house at 12:45 in the morning and we realized that was a bad idea. We've also tried to do ISS Vanguard, and sadly, it's almost like you have this block of time, and we've got, like you said, we started at 8:30, we got to be done by like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So it's 2.5 hours, right? So we have to be done by 2.5 hours, or it starts getting, or not. And it's not that our enthusiasm starts waning; it's our physical ability to play games starts waning, because all of a sudden we're like, okay, Colin, what do you want to do? It's amazing, and I'm too tired to be excited about that. So we have to fit that in there, and we know our limitations in that. And so, sadly, some of the games, like we want to do all these games, and then when we think we want to do these games, I don't want to learn more of the game, because we don't do one-off games. We play way more campaign games, and I don't want the campaign spoiled because we're going to try to stream it. But oh no, we can't fit it in there. Like we played Aeon Trespass Odyssey from, I think it was 9 a.m. till about 2 p.m. one day by ourselves together. And we enjoyed the actual beneazies out of it. The problem is, as we were doing it, we're kind of timing it to figure out where we would be able to put breaks, and we couldn't figure out a way to get that onto the channel, because we found out, okay, now we're gonna do the exploration phase. Oh, that was done in 30 minutes. Okay, let's fight the boss. Well, that was 2 hours. Like, okay, we could fit that in. That's awesome. So then we go to the next part. It's like, oh, that phase was like an hour and a half. Now we're gonna do a boss battle. I guarantee you that's gonna be more than like. So it's also when we realized that wasn't gonna fit in. So like, do we stop the stream at like 9:45, even though we started at 8:30, and be like, thanks for coming. It was great to see you all. Bye. So. Yeah. So it's not that. So a lot of the games we play live have to fit that. That's where the recorded stuff comes in now. Yeah, but I don't mind recording Madara. I don't mind recording Kingdom Death Monster, because it doesn't matter how long that is, and I still enjoy. So on the fair front, ISS Vanguard, we stopped. People are like, why didn't you play it anymore? Because it couldn't fit in the stream. Do I love the game? Yes. Am I still passionate about it? Yes. Would I still go back to it? Yes. I don't have any faults with the game. I love the game. I'll play it all the time. So Fairing Guard, I don't think we can stream because it does have parts you can stop and stuff, but you never know where those battles are going to happen, when it's not going to happen. I guess that's a bad example because every part of that moves along pretty quick. You can find a spot to stop. But anyway.
I think there's a good comment here that I want to call out. Silvers had mentioned now. I was curious about how this discussion would go if there were four non-content creators in the panel, which I think there's some truth to that.
100%
sure.
different.
Yeah.
I also put in chat that I'm not sure I currently count.
You are a content creator. Let it just delete it. Stop it. You're a content creator.
My Twitch statistics, right?
But I mean, so before we hop on that, Steve, I want to ask a question because it ties into that. So there's this thing of, well, what would this discussion be like if it wasn't for content creators? For content creators, like all of us, I want to ask the question: Does people watching, I can't remember the proper word I'm looking for, but does the attendance of a stream or a VOD influence your continued play of that game?
So,
yes.
Okay, I'll stop there. And
So I have not streamed campaign games because, like, just obviously. So one of the things I was actually going to say is I'm wondering also, now that school's like essentially done for me, thank God, finally, and I start student teaching, but now that I don't have that focus and this isn't going to be as much of a problem, how much my gameplay or like content creation or whatever will change. So maybe now that I don't have this extra time stress of, I only can play, take up the table for a day, it'd be interesting to have this conversation again in a year.
Yeah.
Because it's my life change. Moving from student to non-student, and the time commitments and all those, and the amount of energy I have to be enthusiastic about something that's not writing papers on demonic possession or whatever the heck I write about.
That sounds like the greatest class ever. Is it a Cthulhu class?
No, it was just how to research and writing for history. But we had two options. We could do something that was based on like witchcraft and like witch hunts kind of time, like during around the time of the Reformation or whatever.
Gotcha.
Or we could write about the Crusades. So I mean, 100% I took demonic possession.
There you go. That's fantastic.
So
Steve, you said yes.
Yeah, Steve said yes. I want to know more. Steve, talk to us about that.
So I do look at the analytics of the content I put out and look at I try to get a feel for how it's being received. If it's being received well, I take that as people are interested in the type of content. I will keep putting it out because people want to see it. If I see that dropping, I will stop putting out content. However, that is only on a temporary basis because I do like to return to games, and it also is not indicative of me actually playing the game. I will, if I still am enthusiastic about the game, I will be playing the game off stream instead. I think a really good example of that would be like we mentioned in the past, Isofar Guard already. Like, I love that game. That game's awesome. And, seeing that drop off a little bit, that's fine. I'm still going to keep playing it. And I'll bring it to the table back every once in a while. But I think, and this is something that from a content creation standpoint, I keep trying to struggle with is trying to stream a full campaign. Like, are people interested in that? Or is it better to just jump around to, here's a new game. And here's another game. And let's come back to this game. So it's like it's different each time as opposed to a familiar rule set and following the same story. I don't know, but
it sounds like you're part of it. Sounds like you have to deal with a lot of House of Pain there.
House of Pain.
Yeah, because you jump around.
Oh no!
Oh gosh!
Boom! Here I come out of left field. You gotta love it. Oh, you gotta love it. So I said yes and no because there's a little bit of both here. Okay, so I said yes and no because there's different factors here. So I'll put a game out there that I'm really excited about. And if it gets a lot of traction and people are asking for a lot more, and more, I would say more that people are asking for it than the traction, I'll continue playing it. Now, I have a case in point. One of my top videos this year was League of Dungeoneers. People were gravitated toward it. They want to see it. They want to know everything about this game and all that stuff. I played the first mission and I realized this had way too much that I need to try to deal with in order to record this game. Like, I'm looking at double the amount of time to record these games. But people were loving it. So I kept going with that game until I got completely done with like a whole like arc of the game. And then I decided, I know it's still having a lot of traction, but at that point I had to decide, was my sanity worth people wanting to see more of this game? And I chose my sanity. And so that I moved on from that game, but I got still to this day a lot of questions about, hey, are you bringing back League of Dungeoneers?
Well,
And I keep saying no because I'm done. But on the flip side, I get almost no views on a couple of the campaign games I'm playing, but I'm really excited to get back to them, and I keep coming back to them because that's what I enjoy. And when it comes to campaign games and things, of a lot of bigger games, unless Colin and I are planning to stream it, I'm on my own. My wife's not a big campaign person. She doesn't like those kind of games. My kids don't like to really play those kind of games either. So a lot of the times, the campaign games you see on my channel is as far as I've got so far, because I'm not playing it off channel. We're playing Quacks of Quacklenburg. We're playing a lot of like exit games. We're playing, like right now we're working on our exit advent calendar every day, which is super fun.
Nice.
So those are kind of the games wife and I gravitate towards when I'm not filming. She's not a big campaign person. So those I strictly put on my channel to play and watch because I enjoy them. Now, I've got too many of them because if you've noticed, there's a lot of them where I've just been left hanging, like ISS Vanguard, ISS Farian Guard. I've completed the 7th continent, but only one curse. There's 98 more curses I can try. So, I mean, it keeps going. Like Bard Song, I stopped playing that one. Now, that was also my own choice to stop playing because this is another case in point, had a lot of fun when it first came out. Really enjoyed it. I love the mechanics. I thought it was really cool. My guys were like powering up. It was super neat to see the dungeon. Also, this wandering monster coming through. It was super, super neat. And then I realized, and which is probably the most sad thing about this game, is after the first mission, now it's like, oh, wait, I have to play the same dungeon again. I got to play it like 9 times to get to the next part of the book, which there's some house rules now that can get you past that. But I was like, I don't want to fight the same guys 32 more times. Like, it kind of gets to this point. So it got, they made this an 80-hour campaign where it probably needed to be about a 15-hour campaign because you can just power up guys faster and see more monsters and experience more games instead of really almost making kind of a slog through it. And Steve, I know you played a lot of Sword and Sorcery.
Yeah.
And that's probably a game I'm similar is probably what you're thinking on other campaign games where you probably didn't see a ton of traction as you're playing it, so you pulled it and moved it more to your own catalog, right?
Exactly. Yep. Emil's got an interesting question here. The challenge for content creation on campaign games is the rule of diminishing returns. Like sequels, expansions to games, what would you say to that?
Depends.
Yeah, I think the
it's
campaign thing is a
subjective.
really interesting one where like what brings you back, and Derek's already talked about like the mechanics has to be engaging each time. And I wonder if this kind of what drove the success of Pandemic Legacy Season 1 was because there was a campaign game that would inject new mechanics along the way.
Yeah.
And that was something new and exciting, right? That people really gravitated towards. Now, I want to get through a lot of campaign games, but my struggle is the concentration side of it, right? It takes so much time, so much effort, and there's always new stuff that we're trying to shift and try and cover. It makes it extremely difficult to cover those.
It's we want to cover it. We got this new cool game. We've been reading the rules. This looks really fun. We want to play this game. We want to show everybody this game. The problem, like I'm sure Ken's about to say, is then I put on and then I have to set the whole game up. Then I got to get my camera station. I got to do everything right. Then I hit the button, and all of a sudden my mic's not working. It's like, oh crap! Then I got to.
It's also.
Yeah, and if you have to edit until you told me about the thing that I'm gonna get, but if you have to then spend an hour. Okay, so for OFPG Voices, I filmed, edited a video, and it was a 3-minute video, but it still took me however long.
Yeah.
So it's not even just so if you have like a long campaign and you're not only like if you're not streaming it and then having to edit it, like it's a huge time commitment. And that's another thing. If I'm looking at my editing, like I'm getting sick of it while I'm editing it, let alone like playing it and everything else. So that's just the thing that popped in my head is
Yeah.
I'm at that point, I'm spending a heck of a lot more hours watching this game than whatever, that I'm probably going to get sick of it a lot faster.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
and it's what a lot of I was speaking with my sister when I was visiting my mom this past weekend, and one of the things she said is she said that some people who are they're not in board gaming space, but they're in other content creator space, said that they actually outsource their editing
Oh yeah.
because they felt that the amount, like you said, Jen, the amount of time that they spent editing made it feel this is not fun. This is just work.
I
And
mean, I do
so,
like editing. Don't get me wrong there. Like I do
but I
actually
mean,
like editing, but yeah,
they,
it's tedious.
so I
Yeah,
just
I get
wonder,
ads from that, and people like send me generic ads like to my email saying like, "Hey, would you like to? We would like to offer your services to help edit your videos." And I'm like, "What?" And so just out of curiosity, I clicked on it and be like, "Okay, like, oh here's an example of what we do." I'm like, "Okay, it looks great." Okay, so it'd be $100 a video. I'm like, "Oh nope."
That's a no. One actually, so the question was thinking in terms of less and less audience. I was actually going to pose a similar question. So at what point is like, because one of your bad like viewed videos like would be like amazing for me, like a
I may
few
have
views for you.
gone a little bit.
What is that like? What's the threshold? So if like your
Where's the
first
threshold?
one or two videos gets X number of views,
Right.
at what point is it the diminishing returns that this is not worth making the videos for?
I would say the diminishing. It's not necessarily like Emil's wondering about diminishing returns. For me, it's not diminishing returns bring me that remove a game from my channel. It's more of exceeding expectations makes the game come back to my channel. Is more, I think, what I should have been saying. So, like for again, a League of Dungeoneers, one of my highest top viewed videos. So I know there's people that want to see this game. They want to learn about this game. They want to know about this game. But I didn't want to play it anymore. It was exhausting. But I know that there was people asking for it because they wanted to see how this game played, and I wanted to have people have a full understanding and to be able to experience what this game has to offer. Now, if I'm playing, let's say, Madara, and it got 15 views, and do I want to come back to this game? Yes. Am I going to come back to it? Yes. I don't care how many people are watching it. When it comes to the diminishing returns, it's more of the upward returns that sometimes I have a hard problem with, because people are really excited to see more of the game, and I don't want to do any more of the game.
So I come from a very different perspective than diminishing returns. Maybe similar to Barrett here, honestly. It's not about the audience and people watching it. It is about the value people who do watch it get out of it. Because that's what matters to me. Is like, I want to put out content, and I don't care if it's 10 people or 200 people, as long as I interpret that as I'm providing value to people, the audience watching it, I'm happy. And so if I start seeing, because I don't always get feedback. Let's put it frank. Like I love feedback. Bring it on, right? Let me hear it.
Right.
But like if I'm not seeing the feedback, I will look at analytics to try to figure that out and just get a feel for it, right? If I feel like the value is not being provided, then I'll switch to something else, provide something else with value. So that's all. That's my goal. So,
Right.
I know we're kind of running long. We've been talking about campaign games a lot, but I kind of want to also take a chance to talk about one shots a bit more.
Exactly, because that's another big deal. One shots are a completely new thing. Like, how do you keep coming back to the one shots? Are you gravitated towards them again for theme, for the mechanics in it, the length of game, who you're playing with, how you're playing it? Like, again, I've been saying Quacklenberg, it's family game. All our family can play it. It's one we know we can bring out and enjoy. When it comes to one shots such as Fallen Lands, a post-apocalyptic board game, there is some kind of campaignish elements you can play it, but more or less it's a one-shot. Very super fun game. Actually, it's coming to my channel pretty soon because I just got second edition copy. And that one's super fun, but it's a one-shot and it's a long one-shot. So you have to decide where do they fall that makes you bring it. Like I know Derek has Hexplore It. He's got what's the other one? Gloom of Killforth. Those are a lot of his one-shots that he gravitates toward because he really, really loves them, as proven by how many times he plays them on the channel. I'm sure he plays them even more off channel. And so you always have to, each person inside them has to decide where this game falls that's going to keep them there. And the ones for me, I'm finding are the ones that I can play with people. I don't play one shots by myself that are point grabs. I can't. It's just not my style. Now, on the flip side, though, Nemo's War is a fantastic one shot that is a point grab, but it kind of feels like it has like a story at the end where you're kind of like, how did my journey end? You can find out, as opposed to just, oh, did you get 86 points? Ah, that's very good.
I think I'm going to be playing that one Monday because I haven't played that one in a while. So that game is
Oh,
really fun.
Yeah,
So that one I have no problem getting to the table. Robinson Crusoe. I don't think I played solo, but I like playing with my wife, which means I'm never going to play this game again.
But
there's I think that there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. Hadrian's Wall is a point grab game, and I love that game. I think it's so good. But it's just, you're right. There's one shots are easier to say we can come back to. They're easy for content creation, like you've all said. They're fast to. Even if they take long to set up, it's a one shot.
It's one shot. You get to have that whole resolution of a story. This War of Mine is technically a one shot. It's a long one shot, but it can be a one shot. Like I can get through that game in one day.
Wait! You can beat This War of Mine?
Watch my channel.
No. I'm on episode 6.
I think I've recorded. No, I've done all the scenario. Did you do a straight player? Did you do a scenario on your channel?
Probably. I added some expansions.
Yeah, you had you have the orphan. No, seriously, this is what I did when I was done after I submitted my final. I went to bed and I started watching this War of Mine playthrough. That was my reward. I got to episode 6.
I played through.
Before I had to go.
I think I've just done the scenarios, and I've done all but one, and I won one. I've lost the rest because as soon as I go outside and I have to roll a die, my people get shot.
The guy gets shot.
Yeah, but you have to go outside. You have to go outside.
So basically, what you're telling me is, in this War of Mine world, in your world, you've got like the ultimate sniper.
Yes. Yeah. Headshots every time.
Headshots galore. His This War of Mine is actually a live stream over. It's called. You can watch it on YouTube. It's like the one that gets the most views. See how many headshots I can do from far away.
It's no scope headshots that happen on this one.
No scope shot. Boom.
Or if it's not, or if he happens to miss, I encounter somebody with a knife and they just crit. That's just how this War of Mine works for me.
I can't wait to play. It's also on my winter break list.
Oh my gosh, that game is still I would have to say that War of Mine is still in my top 10.
It is. I think that back to Steve's one.
That's one shot.
Games like Eldritch Horror. Amazing.
Again, it's a full story you can do, and I think that's the thing that keeps. Those are the one shots I can come back to because they have the whole complete story. Yeah. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to place this maple here and get 3 grain and put it here, okay, and then I'm going to be able to use that grain to like brew a cocktail of destruction, and I'm going to put that over here. I drink it, and so you know what I mean. It's just like I don't like going through the steps and just gaining some points. Those are the ones that aren't going to keep me entertained.
The interesting thing about one shots, I know someone made a comment that's easier. It's actually more work for me to do one shots than it is a campaign game.
Really?
Mm-hmm. For streaming.
How so?
For streaming.
How so?
That's because I have a lot of prep work where I scan things in and I create all the visual assets and everything for each game.
Oh, yeah.
And for a campaign game, I can reuse those over and over again.
That's right, because you're like a much better content creator.
Steve is actually great at his job. Just
I have to view here by mouse clicking when I'm trying to see the chat. If I'm lucky, I have a camera working. That's usually
my bit is because I have 30 things going on. I can only say I can only do so much of that before I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to not. Otherwise, I'll either ignore chat, miss something, or mess up a rule.
So, like, one thing for like a one shot that I could think of would be like Final Girl, right? Because like it's whatever, but every time you're playing it, because you know I'm so jealous. I can't believe I messed that one up. But but every time you're playing it, there's at least something a little bit different. And
That's
I
it.
love there's games, but whatever, and I love games, but if every time I play it, it's the same
Mhm.
for the most part, then there's going to be a point, like whatever, that it's gonna kind of be like, and it's time to move on. Where something like Final Girl, once you know the basic rules, and then every year they give you a whole bunch of new stuff if you can afford it. And then at least it's still the same game. It is, but every time you're
It's
playing
different.
it, then it's different.
It's different.
Or you mix everything up. So maybe things that are like more modular. So maybe games that are modular can help keep that enthusiasm going because you're playing it, but it's different.
And
That's
that's and to that
It's a one
point,
shot that has a good story that goes along with it from front to back.
well, but to that point, I think Jen, you do have a point because I'm currently playing Earthborn Rangers, and it is modular. Every time
Mhm.
you move to a different location, the deck, the encounter deck completely changes. So yeah, I
That's a big
agree.
thing I consider when doing my reviews and everything. Is the when I look at variety, I use the terms internal and external variety. And what I mean by internal variety is if I have a game set up and I play that exact same setup multiple times, how different is it going to feel from play to play? Versus
Mhm.
external variety is I've got the setup, let me remove a piece of that setup and replace it with something else, usually modularity we're talking about here. And how does that feel from play to play, right? And for me, that modularity, that external variety part drives me back and keeps my
Mm.
enthusiasm higher over it's a big driving factor for enthusiasm for me. And I think a really good example of that, and I don't know if Derek you agree, is when we play Marvel United, just
Same
because
game, same
like
game. Sorry.
little things of like changing up even the seating order has a huge effect of the game, right?
Yes, yes.
And so like that adds so much to explore and change. And how, oh, let me play against this guy, let me do this other combo, what happens when we combine these two powers together, what
Yeah,
happens? And then
yeah.
that is interesting to me, and that brings me to the table.
Yeah, and that modularity of Marvel United is probably a big seller. And you notice the trends. Final Girl, I've got all of it. Marvel
Mhm.
United, I've got all of it. All these modular games, I have a lot in my collection. They can be those one shots, but you switch them up and they're fun.
Which is funny because I don't have that many games in my collection. Because just modulate the modular ability to modulate things to me isn't sometimes enough to make me want to keep playing the game because I've seen the mechanics are the same kind of going through it. You know what I mean? So like for example, Final Girl, we have it, we love it, we play it. Um, I can't play it over and over and over in one thing, even if it's switching up certain things, because I'm still kind of having to roll the dice to be able to move to do this. So it still kind of got the same kind of actions involved with it. So when it comes to I need to have, but the reason we love it so much is that story that goes along with it as you're trying to escape from to gain like the say you're doing the puppets or something, you got to deal with the puppet. It's totally different like type of way the thing does things in the story behind it. I think is really what brings us back to that game. Marvel United, I don't play much Marvel United. The modularity isn't enough for me to keep coming back to that game. I don't enjoy enough of it to be able to keep coming back to that
Sure.
game.
Baron, can I
And
ask
so
you?
I don't have Maximum Apocalypse anymore. Again, another great modular game.
I
I don't
love that
have Maximum
one.
Apocalypse anymore.
Yeah.
I sold it. We just weren't playing it. We weren't coming back to it. We had every single expansion of that game. It just wasn't enough to make me keep coming back to it. I needed more than just the base of the game wasn't enough to bring in the modularity of it to keep me coming back to it.
Let me ask you a
But
question, Baron, then, because I'm curious about that. Because for me, modularity is huge, so that is
Mhm.
a difference between us for sure. But one thing I know we both enjoy is when we meet up for Con of the Rings to play Lord of the Rings living card game. How do
Yes.
the LCGs factor in for you when it comes to the modularity or the variety of it?
It's the story that goes along with it. Every
Okay.
one of those Lord of the Rings stories that you're playing, it's like a different story. That's why
Hmm.
when we're playing it, everybody's like, "Oh, should we read the flavor text?" I was one going, "Yes, read it. I want to know kind of what we're doing. I want to hear like what do we do? Oh, we're trying to escape from the evil bandits or something, or trying to throw the ring into the dragon's mouth or something. You know what I mean? Just like in the movie. So that's I think the story, the Arkham Horror. That's why Arkham Horror is my favorite of the three, is because that one has that like it's a progressive story. Like you
Yep.
want to move on, you want to read the next card and things like that. Where I'm not as fan, like Colin and I both talked about this. We're not a fan of Marvel Champions because it's almost a negative reverse. You don't want that act to go forward. You don't want to read the next card, which means I don't want to go forward. I'm like, but I want to know what happens, but I don't because you don't want to get to the next card. And I think that's one of the reasons we didn't like Marvel Champions. Colin, I'm not going to say for him, but that was one of the reasons we talked about it. I think that brought us away from that one versus Arkham Horror, the living card game, which is fantastic. He's having a blast with Earthborn Rangers, which I'm sure not only adds a modularity, but also has a story behind it. And that one is one that you're able to develop the story as you go forward, from what I understand.
Depending on where you go, Baron from Jan. He says, if there were achievements, would it help drive you to replay the same game and stay excited?
No. I'm not an achievement person. I've got games that have, there are games that come with those things in them. Mm-hmm. They like have, oh, hey, defeat this boss in under 7 turns or something. I mean, I have never filled out one of those. I don't, again, that's almost like achievements to me would be another kind of concept of point grab, where it's kind of like, okay, I got to make this happen. I've got to be efficient enough to make this happen in order to get this particular thing to happen, or to get the goals of this. Like, that was actually one way that I was able to keep my kids involved with Zombie Kids. I don't know if everyone's heard of this game, but Zombie Kids has an achievement sheet. And that was the way that kind of kept them motivated to keep going, where I just enjoyed playing the game with them. Again, anything I'm talking about right here, if somebody wanted to play it with me, I'd do it in a heartbeat and I would love it, but I'm strictly talking about things that are solo. I cannot play Marvel United solo. I would not enjoy it. If my son said, hey, let's play some Marvel United, I'd go play it and have a great time. Everything I'm talking about when it comes to these games, it's all solo based. I'm not going to
play. So that sounds to me though, Baron, that it just from this, you can play games solo, but your preference is you're not going to play a solo game.
Unless they're campaigns and things of that nature. Because then if you, like I said, everything that's recorded that's a campaign game is as far as I've gotten, because I love playing those games. I only going to play them solo.
Yeah.
Okay. But all the one shots, it's harder for me unless there's a story behind it, like this War of Mine, Robinson Crusoe, Frostpunk, things like that. They're going to have a beginning and an end. Is great. Gloom of Kilforth, beginning, end.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, right? Sadly, Gloom of Kilforth has, we've talked about it. It has that one detriment to me where it's always like, no matter what you do in that game and how you are building out your character, at the end, you have to fight the boss.
Yep.
And I wish there was something other than fight the boss.
Yep. Yeah.
But other than that, the whole game is amazing. And I love it. I love going through there and experiencing the story that comes about for my character.
But that, I guess, not to defend Gloom of Kilforth, the greatest game ever created, but just to say that I think that's the theme for every game, even campaign games. That's the theme of it, is that you have to fight the boss at the end. However, there are games like Earthborn Rangers that gives you other options, and I think Maggie from Thinker Themer, she also said the same thing, where she was saying she doesn't gravitate towards combat heavy games. She likes something that you could do something different with. And I think that's where that's where kind of the hobby might be headed. Yeah.
I've got 2 fantastic games that I love to play that are not Kill the Boss.
Yeah.
Highly and Something Shiny was I think one of my top 5 favorite games of the year. And it was also, I think, probably my surprise. That game is absolutely amazing. Are you fighting people? Not really.
Yeah.
You're helping a bunny try to experience the world and all these things around it, right? And my son and I, when we get a chance to try to play it, I will play that game solo any day. I love that game. I think Steve has enjoyed that game when he played it as well.
One. Definitely.
I've also got Lands of Galzir. Every time I put that at the table, I love it. It's fantastic. But again, you're experiencing the story. You're learning. I get a couple quests. I want to see what happens in these quests. Is it really powering up my guys to do something super fantastic and kill the boss? No. I think our stereotype is that most board games, when it comes to these
campaign games
and stuff, is fight the boss. So Faringard, yes. I got swords, I got shields, I fight the boss. The Kingdom Death, I build a dagger, you build a frail axe, I hit a super dense location, my axe goes boom, I die, kill the boss. Oh, boss killed me. So I think that the assumption is that 90% of these games are this kill the boss. There was one Starfield or something. No, it was in Starfield. What was the one? It was a game where basically you're going around the town, talking to fishermen and grabbing, and they can give you fish that you can then bring to the person to sell it as market or something.
It's a hard sell in terms of
Stardew or something.
yeah,
Valley.
it's Stardew Valley.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a hard thing, but I think the base that likes those games while growing is still very small. Because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's our desensitization to societal stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to get into
That might
that,
be
but
a
I think
really
it's
good
just
chat coming
more.
up to talk about non-combat games.
Yeah, I
how
think
they
You just
work.
did. There
that's
we
the
go.
thing.
Done.
It's I think that grouping is still small. I think that grouping's small. That
I was like,
likes
if we
that
start
stuff.
talking about non-combat games, then we're gonna go. Then it's just gonna be all Gen, all Euro, all the time.
Well, Euro games have combat in them
Yeah.
too.
Not a lot of the ones I play don't. Like Earth, a lot of the ones I love to play are engine building, not crap on your neighbor games. Those are the kind of games I like to play.
Yeah, I
Because
don't
when
like things
you play those, they all crap on me.
The problem with those games though is that they miss, for me, the non-draw is I don't want to compete against myself on a point grab. It's not going to be fun. So I love Earth. Terraforming Mars, one of my top games. I love Terraforming Mars, but it's just at the end of the day, cool. I built this engine. It's amazing. I got 150 points. Cool. Game over. It feels lackluster at the end.
And my friends and I have like a Saturday, Sunday, or Friday's night, Saturday, and the Sunday morning. Every year we go on our guys' game retreat, and all we do is play Euros. Really, it's all we do. We just play Euros all day long, and we enjoy it. We have absolute blast, except for in the evenings we play Dungeons and Dragons. But we have an absolute blast playing these Euros. That's all we play. And I don't know why, but I just love having those people sitting around me and being able to and laugh about what we're taking and joke about like, I know what Brent's going to do. He's going to grab that card because he's going to, Brent, you better not get that card, like kind of thing. So we all, I guess maybe it's just I don't mind getting 150 points then, because I had the camaraderie of laughing and joking about the game and things about it and things of that nature. But I can't play it solo.
Okay. Yeah, the tough part of that is that I like games like Nemesis that we played at Gen Con. Yep. Right? We had to kill a guy or kill a boss or kill an alien or kill something, but we had a good time doing it. And I think that experience of it doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we're doing it together makes it fun.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what comes in. And Nemesis is another great one shot. I play that any day of the week because it's a circle, front to back. Usually one sitting, you're done.
Yeah, I think I died. My shortest run of that game was 5 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes?
That was amazing, Derek.
Was it 2 minutes? My shortest run of that
game? You couldn't have stacked the deck to make that go any faster.
Oh, man.
I think I kind of want to... There's a good question here I want to get answered, and I think this might be a good wrap-up, too, because I think we're kind of toward the end of this topic, but... So he gets at Barrett looks for storied games for his fun. I have a friend like that too. Are you all three others like him? And I think this is getting at to the crux of it is like, what is your source of enthusiasm for return to games?
2 parts. Theme. What keeps me is mechanics. So if the theme is good, I'll be like, oh, ISIS Vanguard. That looks fun. That looks fun. A fun story. I've never played it. Still in shrink wrap, but but the thing that'll keep me as I play ISS Vanguard is past the story is the mechanics solid and has me enthused to keep going. For case in point, Earthborn Rangers theme, amazing mechanics, I love them. I think they're great, and that's why I'm still playing it. So that's one gets me in the door, one keeps me. Jen, what about you?
So theme and story, like I'm a sucker for story, and I think that's part of like for Sleeping Gods for me. It's like I've played it, however many times, but every time I'm playing it, I'm getting like new story, different stories, whatever. But I love story. I want to see the whole story. I want to, even if I'm not playing it, even if I'm watching like somebody else's playthrough, I want to see how the story plays out. So I will watch all 10 episodes of a thing because I want to see how the story turns out. Even if
as you're watching it, the mechanics of it you don't like, you would still watch it. Or play it. So think of the game. Think of a game that.
But I mean, if
that
it's a game I don't enjoy, then I'm not playing it past that first 1 or 2 times anyway. So for
Well,
I mean, for like
yeah.
a longer thing. So I mean, so that kind of goes with it. Like, if this, even if I so take out crap mechanics, right? Because I'm probably not going to play it. But if I enjoy the game, if I'm going to keep playing the game, the story is probably the thing that's going to get me to that finish line and keep playing it and playing it again. Because I mean, I'm a sucker for story and a good narrative.
Like I was that way until Oathsworn. Because I was like, Oathsworn has a great story. It's so good. And as I'm going through the story,
you should go through Oathsworn just like I went through Final Fantasy 13.
Just power through it.
No, I did Final Fantasy 13 all the way done. Thought it was great. I was like, oh, it's kind of a cool game. Then it came out 2 and 3. It's like, really? There's 2 more parts to this game? So all I did is I went on YouTube and watched the cutscenes. I was like, I'm not playing the game. I'm just going to
so just watch Oathsworn cutscenes.
I'm going to learn the story. So like for Oathsworn, you can just go back, grab the book, and read the story, and you've experienced the game, right? I mean, unlike Xenosaga, where like you could start at the beginning all the way to the end, and you just enjoy every single moment of the game, which is what Xenosaga is, as opposed to Final Fantasy 13, where you get done like halfway through, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Xenosaga, you watch Xenosaga, you don't play it.
Xenosaga is amazing. It's probably one of the greatest video games of all time.
But to Jan's, he's like, just for clarity, mechanics as in I read the design and I think it looks mechanically good, right? Or so what in the mechanisms? I think is when I play it. If they can keep me, if they're not mechanics that I just kind of get bored with or think it's dull. I don't. I hate bringing back up Oathsworn, but that is the key. That kind of is the real examel of when story wasn't enough. When story wasn't enough.
Changed for him forever. Has changed character. It really was. It was an eye-opening experience. I mean, he keeps talking about it, but if you go back and even watch it, it's like he's trying to convince himself that he should be still playing Oathsworn. He knows that he shouldn't be. So it's like this eye-opening experience for all of a sudden Derek realized what he loves in games.
Yes, it was
this huge moment, and still to this day, he's still trying to convince himself.
No, I am not. I have learned, and I'm not trying to convince myself that I should like it. I like the story. I know that for a fact.
But it was really such an. It's just so awesome to hear you talk about this all the time.
And I think you're right. It's that pivotal point.
Campaign games started to leave his collection. He's like, the story is really good, but I just can't play this game. It's all
so maybe a better way to answer the question
leaving his collection
is so maybe if then me playing it because of whatever the mechanisms are or whatever, and that I don't enjoy that experience, but I still want to see the story, then maybe I'm going to watch somebody else's playthrough of it where I don't have to be subjected to the BS I don't like, but I can still find, I still could get the story. So maybe that would be
another can of worms we haven't even opened yet is, oh gosh, do I really have to learn this rule book? I mean, kind of thing. It's another whole deal, but that's another topic we should do another
Actually, though, I'm really proud of us today because we actually stayed on topic.
Mostly.
You gotta answer the question too. He's sitting over in the corner kind of laughing and joking along with us, but he hasn't answered the question.
Yeah, that's true, Steve.
My answer is very different than your guys. So mine is the modularity part of it that drives me back to games. So like story, definitely interesting for sure. I like hearing the stories of games, but what keep me enthused is I'm an engineer and I like to see how things work and like to experiment with things. And I'm a big house ruler where I like to what happens to change this rule? What would happen to the game? And so if a game provides elements of that
name,
in some way, either internal or external, then I'm happy. It keeps me excited to see what's going to happen next. Spirit Island's one of my favorite games, and Marvel United we love. Like in Marvel Legendary, a huge deck builder I love. Like these games all have huge modular elements in them.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's for one-shot type concepts, right?
What's that?
That's more of like a one-shot. Like they love the modularity in one-shots. That's what really brings you back to the one-shot.
The campaign games because I want to finish them because I can see where it goes. But like even in campaign games, for me, it's like, oh, if
What
I get
character
to this point,
abilities?
what's new about it, right? What it unlocks, and so
Yep.
what can I experience that's different? Like for the Assassin's Creed we played, a lot of it was like, cool, I'm really excited to get to this next stage to see
Mhm.
how this new element or new mechanic I can combo with my wife's ability, right? Her and her character, what she's doing, or like Reichbuster, we played through that campaign multiple times, and like, oh, cool, now I get this new equipment or new equipment. How can I build up my character for that, or new powers and stuff like that? So that
I
is
think
a
that's
and
huge.
that and just know much about that is unfortunate. That often means I like to get a lot of expansion for games because that drives enthusiasm.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, new expansions to reignite that enthusiasm. But like for example, like Lord of the Rings, that's a game that has a lot of modularity. There's LCG concept, but they're not producing it anymore.
Mm.
There's some amazing people doing fan created content. The ALEP stuff, allowing extended party, which is amazing, absolutely amazing what they're doing with that. But I still enjoy the game, but I think from LCGs it might be a little bit different, where that new stuff tends to want me bring to the table just because of the content creation standpoint. If it wasn't
Mhm.
new content creation, I would be playing games differently from that standpoint.
What so just out of curiosity, bringing up Lord of the Rings, and since we have so much more time to talk about all this stuff, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, say you've played the first scenario, how often would you go back to that first scenario due to the modularity of being able to try new decks and stuff? Would that really, how much of that new deck concept would that first mission still bring to you? Like, could you keep on playing it?
All the
Does that
time.
make sense?
All the
Okay,
time.
because like you said, there's no more content for it. Like, so would an adventure ever get old for you? Kind
So
of.
the interesting thing you bring that up is not necessarily about the adventure I'm playing against, it's about the deck I'm bringing to the adventure.
Sure.
So, because there
So
is a specific scenario I use as my deck building tester, and I
Sure.
say like, if my deck can manage this scenario, it's gonna be good. It's gonna
Is
function
that
well.
Cause of Doom or whatever? Is that
Oh no, no,
no?
it's a
No?
journey and win. I think it's a pretty decent
Okay.
one to do a tester on.
this
But there's a couple other
so
ones I'll jump around to as well. But like, and that's why I like the LCG stuff, because I can bring in different concepts and try them out and see what happens. So,
Yes.
and
so
to answer
Steve,
Jan's questions, do I switch characters and try new things out in campaign? Honestly, I like sticking with the same character because I become attached to it. This is
Mhm.
my character.
Steve,
This is what I'm building, and
My
it's
question to
more of like,
you.
what
I
can
got
I
a question for
do
you. I
within
got a
this character to try out
question.
different stuff? And then that also drives me to come back to campaign games to play them again, because I stuck with this one character. Now when we return back, let me try this other character out. So
Yeah.
So if you the LCG sounds like the
yeah,
path for you. So my question is just more, have you I think you would like Earthborn Rangers. It to me it's Lord of the Rings. It's like the next step.
I'll
So I
have to
think
try it
that you would
out.
like it.
The main thing is, when I first tried Earthbound Rangers, I was coming from it from a Lord of the Rings LCG mindset
Uh-huh.
with deck building and stuff like that. And so I
Uh-huh.
came in, and when I first played it, it was a very early version of it. And I got to the point where the deck building choices I made weren't impactful to completing the scenarios presented to me. Meaning, I could do generic actions and complete things without the
Oh,
specific
that's
card
changed.
builds being
Yeah,
a
that's
factor.
changed.
And
Yeah.
that was a huge deterrent for me. Now, this was I want to clarify, this was a very early stage of the game. And so I didn't like poo poo the game. I'm like, okay, let me come back to it later. And I just haven't had a chance to come back to it yet.
Yeah, so I'll add that to the pile of things that I'm bringing to you for Gamepalooza for us to try it, and I'd like for you to try it out to tell me what you think. Because like Snow is saying, it's very different from Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I agree with that, only because it's young, right? I mean, if you stack an LCG that just started as opposed to an LCG that's well established for years, you're going to see vast differences.
Yeah.
There is a path deck, threat deck. There is along the way. What do you call that in when it's up top in Lord of the Rings?
Locations, or
Threat
whatever.
There
area.
is
Yep.
locations. There are enemies that come within reach of each player.
Oh,
Threat
yeah.
area. There
Engagement. Yeah.
are
It sounds very like Lord of the
there
Rings.
are
Yeah.
there I mean, I think that that's the thing, is that I've heard a lot of people try to compare this thing into Arkham Horror, and that it is not. to me, the closest comparison is Lord of the Rings. But I'm just going to say that from my perspective. Please feel free to say I'm wrong as two left shoes.
Oh,
but
don't worry. Probably on January 30th or December 30th, we'll probably talk again about Earthborn Rangers. You might have somebody else talking to you about it. I just played a ton of it. So
yeah. So and it's and so I'll just leave that, Steve, to you, because you are the Lord of the Rings pro. I've only played like 5 games of Lord of the Rings and said this game has passed me by.
Well, and I
But
think Snow
I'll
might
bring
have.
I'll let you try this, and if you're like, no, this is nothing like it, then I'll be like, okay, well, I guess it's nothing like it. But
Well,
to me, from what I've played, I'm seeing all the things.
yeah, and I think Snow might be nailing on it a little bit here. Is like they sound similar because you're right. Mechanically, like there's a lot of similarities, but how they feel or how they come out in actuality is different. Because that's where I might have had struggles in my first play of EBR or Earthborn Ranger, sorry, because I came from a Lord of the Rings LCG mindset, right? And I think I need to come at it from a fresh mindset this next time and see how that changes my experience.
Yeah, and I'll bring it, and we'll run through.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll run through so you can see. It's I don't know. And it is friendly. It's supposed to be. You're not murder hobos. You're rangers who are
They
traversing
say
a
that, but like the
valley.
first time I played, there was a lot of combat in the game. But yes,
Oh, no, there's the stuff is like you're trying to traverse an obstacle.
yeah.
You're trying to they're
Murder Rangers.
but you're not murder hobos. That's not the purpose of the game. The purpose of the game is discovery. But a lot of people don't like that. They're like, no, I want to kill every animal I see and wear their pelts as my prize. And that's just kind of how they like to play their game. So therefore, Lord of the Rings will always win out.
But yeah, cool. Well, this was a good chat, guys. Really enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
And like I said, this chat, as a reminder, came from one of our community members, Marcel. So if you guys have other topics, throw them our way, and we'll try to cover them.
it's fun to do
we'll go
topics
around.
like this. We can all see how each of us like come to games and what really makes them stand out to each other. It's also fun to see how right I am compared to how all you guys do things.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
really nice.
Wow.
Okay, royalty.
Wait, don't I agree with you on most things?
Like, everyone's goodness, you're like, it's all she goes,
Wow. How right I am. Wow. That's how royalty talks. That's how royalty talks.
Glorious. Oh, Jen, I am.
I'm like, but don't I agree with you most of the time?
I just put freeze in your face because that was amazing. I'm gonna snap that. It's absolutely awesome. I got the reaction I was looking for. Okay, sorry. No, I apologize. I truly apologize. I just love that all of us have so different opinions on kind of what brings us to games, what we enjoy in games, and how the games are meant to be played for us, and what we get out of them. And I'm sure that that's why there's so many games in this world. Is not every game is going to be for somebody. There's so many different themes, so many different mechanics out there that are going to gel to certain people, and certain people are going to latch onto certain games not only because they're fun to play, but also from nostalgia points of view and all these different factors. So keep on playing games, man, and more coming, and they're all just going to be awesome. And if not everyone's for you, and you're going to find out what it is that makes them exciting for you.
Yeah, you'll have an epiphany moment like me.
Yeah, I'm waiting for mine.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think to wrap up this chat, let's talk about what's coming on everyone's channels that we're approaching here. Derek, what do you got?
My daily releases of Factorio. I may have recorded for all of December in 3 days because that game is amazing. So daily releases of Factorio will be forthcoming. That's another game that I'm playing that doesn't have a ton of likes, but I love that game, and so I'm gonna keep doing it. The other than that, Earthborn Rangers tomorrow, Earthborn Rangers Tuesday, Earthborn Rangers, and then I have a week coming up off work. So that's going to be a lot of streaming. So I plan to go through all of Earthborn Rangers. So that's what I'll be doing. And then the Christmas holiday and all that good stuff. What about you, Jen? What do you got?
Well, there might be a surprise stream over on Twitch today, but I'm not feeling the greatest, so we'll see if that actually happens to kind of celebrate the end of the semester, because yay, that happened. Thank God, finally.
Ah,
So, but we'll see how I'm feeling. Not on my channel, but on OFPG, Our Family Plays Games. I believe our Voices holiday episode comes out, I think, on Friday. So I will be talking about one of my favorite games of the year over there. And now that I almost have my life back, minus, kiddo's swim season, there will be VODs coming to the channel soon. I have a whole list of games, and now I have to figure out which ones I want to start with, and also the videos I still need to edit. But so I'm probably going to try to make sure that there are videos going up every Friday. So yeah.
Gotta get down on Friday.
Hmm?
No one knows that reference. Oh, good.
what did you say? You want to get down on
So
Friday?
you gotta get down on Friday.
No, I only got the jump around reference.
Nah.
Thanks, and that is still in my head now. So thanks for that.
It's
So
really bad.
someone in the
morale
chat
goes
knows that reference. Someone in the chat has to know that reference. Otherwise, I will punish y'all with that song.
Oh dear God.
Anyway, Steve, what do you got?
I was honestly debating on doing Nemo's War Monday.
Robin.
So,
Say now.
because
Oh,
I know,
shit.
yeah, because I'll be solo mode Monday.
Oh yeah.
So that I will be recording a review for Uprising, because I've been playing that a lot on the channel recently. So that will be dropping towards the end of next week as a VOD. And then Wednesday, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to play. I might get back to Spirit Island, because I know there's some spirits I haven't even covered yet. So doing that as an option. I'm also thinking about getting back in the vault and covering an older game like Flashpoint. I haven't played that in a while.
Song.
So I'm debating between those two. But also next week, as a heads up, I'm not planning on having co-op chat because of the holiday season. But the week after that, the 30th, we plan to have a really big discussion on Game of the Year. So we've already got that planned. That will be coming out that morning. So,
Yeah.
Baron, what do you got plans for your channel?
Nope, you gotta say it. You gotta say it. Sorry, you gotta say it.
Nope. No, just put it up.
You gotta say
We're
it.
doing that game. All right. For those of you that missed it, we did a live painting of this guy on Wednesday. So I have all my base characters all painted up and ready to go. So I'm going to hopefully record that tomorrow or tonight. We'll see how everything plays out. Then that's going to go up. It's the other guy I painted too. He's the other hero. Speaking of like campaign games, another campaign game, I'm kind of excited for this one. What I've read the rules and everything, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Then I want to get to Fallen Lands, a post-apocalyptic board game. Just got that a little while ago. It's the second edition with all the expansions. I also am going to be doing back to my Kingdom Death playthrough. I always say that, and I never get a chance to get it recorded because I never have enough time. And then I think that might be it. Colin's got some stuff coming up. He's, I think, going to do Deliverance, which is an angelic game. Both of us really like that game. He actually is going to do a playthrough of it because we're deciding if we want to do that as a campaign game. We're also planning to do, I'm also recording Distant Skies intro part. There's like a little small intro to kind of teach you the game and record that. Probably that's going to go up in about 2 to 3 weeks, because after Arkham Horror, I think that is going to be our next campaign game, is Distant Skies. So we're going to play that all the way through, at least one campaign of it. And for people that don't know Sleeping Gods or anything, one campaign playthrough of it is not going to spoil much at all of it, because it's an immense game. And let's see, what else do I have? I think that might be it. We're going to continue Arkham Horror on Tuesdays, and due to the holiday seasons, we are still going. Those don't fall in holiday areas, so we're going to be able to do those both the next couple weeks. So prepare for those. Oh, I got to tell you, 2 weeks versus of stuff, because we're not doing stuff this next time. So also in the next week, we're going to know. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay,
Actually,
so
I
if we
did
actually,
forget
that's
that-
true. So if we aren't, then on the 30th, well, actually, we will be on the 30th. I was going to say,
We'll be
but
on the
it
30th.
is TLN weekend, so I will be streaming on Twitch after co-op chat, but
Nice.
it will be TLN weekend.
I am talking with a designer for a possible super early preview of a game on Wednesday. All humans are dead is the name of it.
Oh, I've seen that. That's by the Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
You've never seen Flight of the Conchords?
No.
Oops.
Oh, Derek, I am so sorry, you deprived child.
No, no, there's nothing to do that, but that's fine. No, but it's all about animals who are cybernetics, and they're fighting against a evil AI on a spaceship.
What?
What just happened?
Yep.
Did we
Really
talk about
interesting theme? It looks cool.
Oh, hey, I got Pet Quest coming up too. Cyber Pet Quest is
Yep,
coming.
It's,
Oh my
it's the
God.
thing. Who is
And-
Derek?
Cybertronic animals fighting aliens on a spaceship.
Nope, no
See, mine
aliens.
isn't like that.
Enemy AI.
Enemy fighting an enemy AI on a spaceship.
Think
So-
Hal.
Oh God.
See,
Okay.
mine is
I mean, it's not the strangest theme ever. Like,
Is it though?
we have
Mine's
space bees
reality.
right now, though. We have space bees. Like
I
that's a
reality.
very wild theme to me.
Mine's a bunch of cyber pets trying to get out of an apartment where Sims are breaking in to like hurt them, and then they have to go find their creator.
It's not bad, but
That's what their goal is. They got to get on a train. They got to go to the zoo. They got to I got a lot of stuff pets got to do.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
a. I have
And
a
they're cyber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
like-
so lots of stuff in the works still, but coming up. Cool.
Yep.
Well, guys, it's been fun. So thanks everyone for joining for this co-op chat, and thanks for the chat for hanging out with us the whole time. Okay, thanks everyone for stopping by. See you next time at the guild. Bye bye.
Take care.